Hello, welcome to the Deep 404. Going to have another go at a live stream today. So if you are online and you see this, say hello. Drop me a note in the chat. I'm going to talk about some of the developments in terms of the drone warfare in Ukraine that we've seen over the last couple of months, and more recently, and even an announcement that came out yesterday that the emergence of what those of us who are young enough to remember from Terminator, that Schwarzenegger film, the hunter-killer drones, those autonomous AI drones that were capable of flying, targeting, and then hunting and targeting, people, civilians in the film. In this case, it's going to be, hey, Michael, nice you're first. In this case, we're starting to see this happen now in warfare. Reports that came out about 2 or 3 days ago that I saw were talking about how the Russian FPV drones had developed or evolved the ability to be able to counteract Ukrainian electronic warfare. What you may have noticed if you've watched some of the FPV drone strikes, the FPV, the first-person view, these are the small commercial, almost like retail, what you might buy for yourself or for your kids, relatively inexpensive drones, quadcopters, with a video camera on them, and you can control them from a mobile phone or a laptop, so your pilot can sit way back in the rear. There have been thousands of these. From one report I was reading earlier, there's been over 2,500 recorded FPV drone attacks, and the number of them per month is growing month on month. Hey, Michael, Happy New Year to you too. So these drones now, the announcement that came out was that in order to counteract the recent upgrading of Ukrainian electronic warfare, which if you watch some of those FPV drone videos, you notice as the drone gets in very close to its target and is about to strike, the video footage, the feed is lost. It goes all blurry, black and white. For a while, I was wondering about this. What was causing that? You know, it's not the drone pilots just being polite and blacking out those last few seconds. This was electronic warfare, anti-drone technology shutting down or interfering with the video feed. So what has been announced a couple of days ago, on one channel I was reading, was that the Russians have found a way to get around this. They didn't describe how, but then last night I saw the reports coming out that now a new software release has come out, which the Russians are installing onto their FPV drones, which gives them the ability to use AI to do their final target seeking, target acquisition and tracking. So this means now that you've got a pilot capable of flying an FPV drone to a target, and then the drone itself is able to lock onto that target. So if the video feed is lost back to the pilot, it doesn't matter. The drone now can complete the sortie. It can complete the mission by continuing to drive itself into the target that was selected. There's one Ukrainian website but Telegram channel that I was reading. This is information's coming from them, and they were reporting they got some information from a channel, Lost Armor. And this says, as of the morning of the 10th of December, so there's nearly a month ago now, 10th of December 2023, at least 2,508 episodes of FPV drone use in Ukraine have been published. So that's 2,500 videos. With almost 4/5 of that total number, so that's 2,000 of the 2,500, thereabouts, having been published in the last 4 months. And in November, a new monthly record was set of 657 published episodes. So as I say, that trend is clear and is growing. The use of drones in warfare, this will become everywhere, but obviously in Ukraine, where this has really bloomed, is now taking over and demonstrating to us in real time technical evolution as we're seeing these drones move from the first versions, which had complete off-the-shelf retail capabilities, to ones which had extended range, extended battery life, the ability to mount munitions on them, the ability to add thermal sights. So from Krinky down in the Kherson area of Ukraine, just a little more than a fortnight ago, first reports came out that in that area there, the Russian drones had been upgraded and had thermal sighting ability, and so were now able to fly at nighttime. Now, this itself has led into some interesting sort of developments. If you just give me a moment here, I'll load something up on the screen that we can watch. Just a note on this. If this is the video, I think it is. Yeah. Apologies for the content, the initial content. I'm kind of going to try and go just past it if I can, which I may have just managed to do there. Not quite. Okay. This footage here is showing two soldiers wearing cloaks to suppress them. This first picture here is of a man. It looks like he's taking a piss, and then he's attacked from behind by someone wearing a cloak. I'm not trying to focus on the death of that guy, but just the fact that these soldiers, and you'll see another one run past in a moment, they're wearing cloaks to cloak their thermal imaging. Here you can see the guy running now with the cloak, which is just leaving a black image where you should see the heat of his body. So this itself is an advancement, something that we haven't seen before in warfare. Now, it may have been happening for some time, but as I say, it's not something that we have noticed or had video footage of it before. So we see this advance in drone technology. I mean, the footage that we saw there is coming from a drone. To counteract those drone strikes, people now starting to wear cloaks to cloak their heat signature. This is reportedly one of the problems with the Abrams tanks in Ukraine, is that the heat signature is so large on them. They are simple to detect with thermal imaging from a great distance. Satellites can pick them up really easily as well. Apparently, they're far better suited to operating in the desert, in hot desert conditions, where that would cloak to some extent their heat signatures. In the cold of Ukraine in winter, it's giving them away because they have this big gas turbine, like a jet engine in the back of them. I've got a couple of other little videos that I just want to show through here. This one here is, again, these are all sort of developments in drone technology and capability. Let's just go back here. So reportedly what is happening, what we're seeing here, this one takes a few seconds to get to the chase, so I might just talk through it. But what you can see at the bottom of the screen there is this is a barrel, I believe, and this is a drone which has been equipped with a shotgun. A shot just went off and you just saw a little drone there in the front of it drop off to the right. So there's a drone right in those sights, and then it just drops off after being hit by a shotgun blast. These drones are reportedly being created as drone interceptors. So these are anti-drone drones. So you send up your drones, they're flying around, the enemy sends up their drones towards you, and you want to be able to deal with them in the air at distance and at range. And so this is the first example of a shotgun being mounted on a drone, and I think this is just the video we saw was just testing the technology. What I imagine you will see very soon will be, instead of an FPV drone, a drone where a pilot needs to chase and hunt down that drone, they will become AI controlled. So you will have small reconnaissance drones that will go up, and their job will just be to look, and they will be protected by some of these interceptor drones who will fly around them, and if they detect another drone, which isn't a friendly drone, it's an enemy drone, they will then fly with AI capability, and they will hunt down and destroy those enemy drones. The same thing I imagine will happen. You'll get escort drones for your strike or your drop drones. So there's a couple of different types of drones that are emerging here. The reconnaissance drones, the ones which often we see are taking the video footage of the attacks of other drones. There are those strike drones, like the Lancets, who will fly in and target something. They also fall into the category, I guess, of the third category, which is the Kamikaze drone. But in those strike and drop drones, ones where you will see drones flying which are carrying a grenade or two and are able to drop them, pick a target, hover over them and drop another one, then fly back, reload with a few more, get a new battery pack in and go off and have another round. Different types emerging. What I think we might be starting to see with that footage there is a fourth type of drone emerge, which is the escort or the protector or the enforcer, which will be the drone which will fly around protecting the other drone type so they can complete their mission. Now, I imagine that in a few months' time, we'll see a further evolution where those roles will start to be combined into one. As battery technology advances a little and we could have denser battery power, energy storage on a battery, you'll start to see reconnaissance drones with their own shotguns and capabilities of protecting themselves, probably with multiple cameras, a second camera doing AI look around to look for targets while one camera is targeting or filming whatever it's meant to be filming. We've got swarm capability coming out. Now, I haven't got here a video of it, unless I can maybe find one really luckily here. No, I haven't. But you may have seen yourself some of the use of drones today in replacing what you might normally see fireworks for. Thousands of small drones with LED lights of various colours getting themselves up into the sky and in a formation. One I saw the other day looked amazing. It was of like a large sort of Thai or Chinese dragon, and from where it was being filmed, it flew up towards the moon and it appeared to put its jaws around the moon. So this was a coordinated swarm of thousands of drones. If you take that coordination technology, but give it the goal of hunting and seeking military targets, and then dispersing, as required, sharing target acquisition. This is already happening now in case of missiles. The KH-32 missiles reportedly have an ability to share targeting information and provide the ability for some missiles to fly in a more stealthy manner. If one of these missiles flies on their own, they have to turn on their radar seeking to look for targets and to look for air defense. However, they can fly in pairs and groups where only one of them lights itself up with that radar seeking, so it then becomes an easier detectable target, but the others don't. However, the first one can share what it learns with the others. So the first one might identify a target. It may even then be destroyed, but the other missiles, the other KH-32s, haven't had to disclose their location, are still operating in a dark mode, but are able to, then continue the attack. Like robbers' flies. Yes, we better send them some cork hats, you cheeky bastards. Yep. This is, I think, where we're going to see things evolve to. In the near future, what we're seeing now is individual drones performing individual tasks, and maybe one FPV pilot sending out one drone, attacking one serviceman or one tank or whatever it might be. And they're being controlled by humans, and which is great for target selection. So it means that you don't make the mistake and select one of your own soldiers. You select an enemy soldier or an enemy vehicle. However, that by now can be surpassed with AI target selection. So very soon we will see these swarms of drones of various types, some of them out there purely to just be confusing, to fly in front of sort of air defense or drone defense systems to attract them and keep them busy with that, while other ones fly around. And once the numbers grow to a certain size, if you were to send up, say, 10,000 drones in one swarm, 1,000 of them with shotguns capable of defending the other 9,000, a few hundred of them reconnaissance and targeting drones, and then 8,000 or so of them kamikaze strike drones. It doesn't matter what you've got in that area they approach. If you don't have some EMP type weapon that can wipe them all out and somehow not wipe out your own electronics at that one time, you are going to suffer losses, because even if you shoot down 1,000 drones, there's still 7,000 coming in to attack. I think at some stage in the near future, we will see an attack like that. It will only be successful for a short period of time, because as we see, the evolution is happening so quickly that as soon as someone mounts that first attack like that, there will be a reprisal or an evolution in electronic warfare where you will find a better, more targeted electronic warfare defense capability evolve. Something that will fire a directional pulse out into the sky to disable that 10,000 drone swarm in one go, yet not firing down towards the ground and impacting your own electronics. Those EMP weapons, they are formidable. On a big, large scale, they can be, an EMP burst can be caused with a nuclear weapon. In the nuclear testing back in the 50s and 60s, they learnt this. And you can actually fire a nuclear weapon at a high altitude, a very high altitude. You still get the EMP, the electromagnetic pulse burst radiating down without the radiation problem. For a wide area, that works well, and apparently it works very effectively. Any electronics within the area are fried. So it's not just things like your radio and your mobile phone that gets fried, but it's things like the components of tanks, like the tank auto-loading electronics. So suddenly your modern auto-loading tank, which can fire 10 or 12 rounds a minute or whatever it might be, is now just dead in the water. The thing won't start. The ignition system has gone in the cars. A few months ago, I was reading a little bit about some Russian weapon development where they are looking at developing EMP missiles, not nuclear ones, but ones that would fly along, and I imagine they themselves would explode, and the explosion would cause a pulse within an area. I think that area they were talking about would be a 2 to 3 square kilometre area, or may even been a bit larger than that. Anything beneath that pulse, electronic-wise, would be destroyed. So if you had a number of those missiles that you could fire out over the area of a front line, perhaps somewhere you wanted to make a breakthrough, you could do that. And then suddenly, all of your modern artillery, your modern armoured vehicles, all of communications, perhaps even your night vision goggles and things like that, all of your drones in that area are no longer operational. So you've created yourself a gap in the line, which you could then proceed through. I've also heard some talk of advancements with those type of EMP weapons to be ones where the missile might be able to create multiple of those bursts. So it may not explode itself, but as it travels, it could create those bursts. And another one being the development of a shell that could do that. Now, I don't have the details on how that would operate. But again, if you're now able to, with reconnaissance drones, accurately target areas of communication of your enemy over a command center perhaps, you might be able to just fire some shells that let off these EMP pulses. You don't have to kill anyone then. You don't have to destroy a whole heap of buildings and equipment or run the risk of perhaps injuring civilians. All you do is drop a few of these EMP shells on the area, and suddenly that command center, all the computers and that are fried within there. There are some other recent announcements. Just again, the constant evolution and development of drone capabilities. So this video here is reportedly of video of a Ukrainian, I'll try and make that a bit bigger for you, a Ukrainian autonomous vehicle, sea drone, which is capable of firing some sort of weapon, some sort of ammunition. In the text that goes with this, which is translated, it talks about it being a flamethrower of some sort. I don't know what it is, but even this itself appears to be some sort of an upgrade for a unmanned drone. That drone is now being provided with weapons so that it can attack or perhaps protect itself as it goes upon its mission. There's a little bit I wanted to read just about this, which again came from a Telegram channel. So I just want to read a couple of paragraphs that these guys have suggested here. The news from the front suggests the same thing. The sound of a flying drone is becoming as familiar as the sound of a flying shell or mine, but even more dangerous. Electronic warfare and defence of equipment, trenches against drones, is becoming mandatory. Not only the number of combat drones is growing exponentially, the strike qualities of unmanned aerial vehicles of all kinds are also rapidly increasing. Thinking about the Lancet and the geraniums as an example. The main weapons of the past epochs, navy, tanks, and in many respects missiles and aeroplanes, have already given way to the main weapon of the new epoch, unmanned autonomous vehicles of all kinds. As we've just seen there, that footage of a Ukrainian water drone, now with offensive capabilities. Much has been written about this before, but is being implemented in a real war for the first time right now on the Ukrainian theatre of war. The experience of this new war is invaluable, especially for the countries involved in it. The transformation of a significant part of the infantry into drone operators and the breakthrough of the front using hundreds of drones simultaneously is not far off. It does seem as though that sort of thing is coming towards us, the change of warfare. Going back a few years, so we're 2024 now, this is probably going back to something like 2015. I remember reading then something from DARPA or the Pentagon, and they were saying that they expected that by the early 2020s, there would be no US soldiers on the front lines. In some respects, I thought that was going to be difficult to achieve, but now what we've seen with this recent increase in AI capability, I do think that next year, we're going to start to see the drone wars being what's going on. There will be it will be a pointless exercise to send your men to the front line if your enemy has got this swarming range of AI-controlled drones. We're already seeing with the FPV drones the success they have on being able to target and strike an individual soldier. Or a group of 2 or 3 soldiers, or in some footage the other day that I was watching of a drop drone with 2 grenades, dropping one and then loitering around and looking to see if it had managed to kill someone. If it hadn't, then dropping a second. Once you have got large numbers of drones doing that, and those drones are capable of doing that themselves night or day with thermal night sights, all of that sort of thing, sending your men to the front line will be a pointless exercise. Their life expectancy will be in terms of minutes. And so that is going to force this drone-only war. It's going to become media reports, and the things that I'll be talking about will not be that there were so many men allegedly killed or wounded on the front line today. It will be that there were so many of this type of drone reportedly destroyed today, and there was a large EMP attack which has let this drone army advance by 50 metres in this direction. War will change. And again, we're seeing that already with the FPV drones and the way that their pilots are sitting back from the front lines now. Pardon me for one moment. I've got to caught myself a summer cold. And that itself is great. If you can just imagine if you would have in the past have used a jet fighter to getting close to the front line and call in air support. So you've got guys in the front line, they're getting hammered, they're calling in air support. You've got to get a jet in there, or something like an A-10 Warthog, something that can come in and blow the enemy front line back a little bit and give some reprieve to your guys. To do that, you need a very expensive aircraft, you need a very expensive airfield, and you need very expensive pilots, someone who has spent years and years and years and years of you training them and housing them and feeding them and paying them and getting them to the level where they can fly that plane. If you can get rid of all of that, and instead just call in 10, 12, 15, 20 AI drones that will lift off as once, know exactly what they've got to do. They've got clear indication of where the target is. They can fly so nimbly, there's no way anyone on the ground is going to take them out. I mean, I saw a very saddening video from a long time ago from the FPV drone strikes of a soldier standing in a exploded, deforested area, ankle deep in mud, just near his dugout. And a drone was flying in towards him. An FPV drone was flying in towards him, and he was swinging his rifle. Swung his rifle like a cricket bat or a baseball bat to try to strike the thing, and he missed. And the thing hit the ground right next to him, exploded, and no doubt ended his life. But that just sums up where the front line is at now. The tipping point I think we've reached for the frontline soldier. That's no place for them to be anymore. So in some strange way, this drone and AI technology may be a good thing. It may reduce the amount of death on the front line. If I can just talk about another scenario that I've talked about recently, when we talk about, and I'll talk about this because this kind of will give you an indication of what I mean here. Where's this map here? Okay, so this is a map of Ukraine, and I've talked about this a couple of times, but I've suggested, and this is not my original idea, but I've suggested this, and John Mearsheimer has talked about this, that it's quite possible that Russia will look to take all of the Ukrainian oblasts to the east of the Dnieper River. The Dnieper River is this blue line which runs down through Ukraine to Kherson and the Black Sea. Now, there are two ways in which Russia could achieve that goal. Russia could continue to grind and fight westward through all of the major Ukrainian cities, Zaporozhye, Dnipro, Kharkiv, Poltava, Sumy, Chernihiv, and into Kiev. And that could lead to the destruction of all of those cities as fighting is waged through there and death of hundreds of thousands of people. Or what could happen is that the Ukrainian government, whether it be President Zelensky or someone else, perhaps Yulia Tymoshenko or someone else, even General Zaluzhny perhaps, they could say, you know what, we've lost, we understand, we don't have the artillery, we don't have the ammunition, we don't have the financial backing anymore, we just cannot continue. We'd love to fight and beat you, we really want to, but we can't. We just can't do it anymore. Russia, you've got 140 million people, we're down to 23 million after 11 million left. We just can't do it. NATO's not helping us enough. We can't win. So we're losing. We give up. We admit defeat. And Russia says, yeah, we want all these oblasts to the east. And that government that's in charge of Ukraine says, okay, take them, have them, leave us with the rest. And so there's been no fighting to achieve that outcome for Russia there. The reason I talk about this is because in the case of drone warfare, where we may no longer have men on the front line, it might be the same thing. It might be that you say, there's two drones, one drone army is defending a city, one is approaching it and attacking it, and that one that's approaching, or perhaps the one that's defending, one of them may do something to indicate that they can destroy the other one easily. They may actually do it. They may just destroy all the other ones, and then they proceed, but they've destroyed the drones. They haven't destroyed the infrastructure, the ground, the civilians. For me, this is a new level of war, something which I haven't thought through the implications of, because it takes you to a position then where, let's just say, all the drone fighting became aerial. You might be able to stand in your yard and look into the sky and see the red drones fighting the blue drones, and the red ones pushing the blue ones this way and going, ooh, that's bad. And the blue ones pushing the red ones this way. Ooh, that's good because you support the blue drones. When they win, when the blue drones win and the red drones win, and let's say it was two warring nations, then what happens? Just politically, things just change. And so our warfare, which is conducted virtually in a way, it's not completely virtual. It's not conducted on a computer, but it's conducted with technology rather than humans. The outcome of that conflict decides the political change in the same way that a traditional war would decide the political change. You push all the way up into the country you're invading, up to their capital city, and then the government says, okay, you win, you can have the country. Well, now it just happens that you might watch, as I say, in the sky, oh, the red drones have won. That means we get the country next door. And the country next door just has to put their hands up and say, yeah, look, we're sorry. Now we're run by this government. It's weird. It might be. That's how warfare works. It's just like losing a bet in a way. It's like the presidents or the prime ministers of your country playing cards and them agreeing that if I win this game of cards, I get your country. And he wins. Shit. There you go. You take the country. And all the people living in the country go, what? We're now this nation instead of that nation? Oh, okay. What else changes? Things will trickle down and change like they always do. But there hasn't been the war through the country. You look at cities that have been fought over and fought for. Bakhmut is a good example. What's happening to Avdiivka, Grozny, Aleppo, places like that where they are destroyed. Gaza. What's happening to Gaza at the moment? And you go on Google, if you haven't had a look, go and Google around, find some photos of the Gaza Strip now, modern ones, and just look at the devastation. There's just flattened buildings and concrete and destroyed roads everywhere. Now, if that conflict had been resolved somehow politically, none of that damage would have been done. That area would begin to thrive. People would be living there, going about their day-to-day lives. So the change that we're seeing in terms of drones in this conflict is massive in terms of the technology itself and the way that warfare is being fought on the front line. But I think there are bigger implications of this in the future, which we haven't really thought through because we haven't needed to. It's just dawning perhaps on our radar, at least for thickies like me. It's just starting to get there that maybe we see the end of human fighting in warfare, and the fighting is done by drones, and the outcome is just agreed to if the drones lose. Because if it doesn't, and you devolve back to ground-based fighting, you're back to the situation which we've reached today, where being a human on the front line, is just bad news because you're just going to be destroyed by drones. And again, if you get smart drones on the front lines, so land-based drones, things that can walk and crawl and jump, again, in theory, they should be able to target one another relatively accurately and fight in a way such that the amount of destruction done is reduced. I may be wrong in that assumption there. You may always have the need to destroy buildings and cover, regardless of whether it's humans or it's drones. But drones can have different weaknesses, like we say. EMP pulses might be the thing. So it might be that an attacking drone believes there's another drone lizard or whatever it is, drone dog, within an apartment block, and instead of just shelling or bombing the apartment block, it just sends an EMP pulse out. Now, yes, everyone in the apartment block are like, shit, our phones don't work, we need a new router. But that might be it. They then walk down the street past the fighting drones, because the drones are programmed like, we're not worried about people, we're worried about other drones. Go and buy a new router, and they're off on their day again. This really could change warfare in its entirety. I think that's covered off kind of the stuff that was just going around in my head about the amazing advances in drones that we've seen out of this war. Oh, one last thing I'll show you here, which again, this is just this isn't drones. This is just AI though. Give me 1 second, and I will. Here we go. Let's just have a quick look at this. You may have seen this already. So this is CCTV footage, which has been released. It's where it appears as though the police in Britain are going around and are just arresting people for wearing big shoes. Now, of course, this isn't real footage. This is AI-generated CCTV footage. But it's, like, it's good. It's good footage. It looks kind of like what it's meant to look. There's an article I was reading today about how the 2024 election, they believe, will be determined by AI because it will be the more powerful and better targeted AI that goes onto YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, producing content which is developed to influence you in how you think and how you vote, and being able to kill stories. People now will be able to say, let's say a video comes out of a politician having sex on an island with an underage person. It's quite possible that could come out. They are then, the first thing they're going to say now is, oh, it's just a deep fake. It's not me. It's AI. Now, it might be accurate, true video information that someone has been trying to get out for 20 years and they finally got it out. But now they've got it out in an era where you will just be able to sell it as being, no, it's really good AI, man. No, I was never on that island. So with that kind of capability, you can see how an impact upon an election will be done by AI. AI will definitely have a part to play in that. All right, last thing that I just want to finish off on here. I don't know if I'll get to do another video later today or tomorrow. Maybe I'll do a bit of a Ukraine update and Israel update if I do get a chance to in the next day. But one last thing for you who have been following the channel. That I did a video a couple of weeks ago titled "There will be no F-16s for Ukraine." This was just as the Netherlands were saying, "Oh, we're sending 18 F-16s to Ukraine," and I gave a whole heap of reasons for why I didn't think that was going to happen. Least of which being that the US don't want the image of the F-16 tarnished in Ukraine, and that is what will happen. They will be shot down if they get anywhere near the front line. So that's not going to happen. So interestingly enough, an article I've just seen today, which, if correct, is that the Berlingske newspaper, with reference to the Danish Ministry of Defence, says Denmark's transfer of the first F-16 fighters to Ukraine has been delayed by about 6 months. Now, that's making it the middle of 2024. Yesterday, I was reading from a US Defense Ministry readout, and it was of a brigadier general, or someone I don't recall his name, sorry, who was saying that when asked about F-16s in a Q&A session and whether they would be delivered to Ukraine, he ummed and ahed and said, well, the training, the quality of the pilots takes a while. So, maybe by the end of 2024, we'll start to see some pilots ready. So again, what was being touted, a few days ago as F-16s on their way to Ukraine, it's not going to happen. I would say there's a very strong likelihood that this war will have concluded in some fashion before F-16s ever make it to the front line. All right. Hey, look, I hope you have enjoyed this, and I hope you're having a good day. I look forward to talking to you again soon.